What's up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome to part 2 of a special edition here over on the Fanboys Anonymous channel. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert E. Felice.
Hey, how we doing?
We are doing. What are you doing over there? I don't know why I said it that weird.
We're doing over here.
We are recording this on the 21st of November. This is going to be published either 29th or 30th, I think, of November. I'm not entirely positive yet exactly when I'm going to do that. But this, if you haven't been able to tell already, is part 2 of DC vs. Marvel WWE Survivor Series, or 20 different other variations of the title. I've been trying to figure out what the proper SEO would be for it. I don't know what I'm going to end up with, but it's like, what if WWE Survivor Series had Raw versus SmackDown changed over to DC versus Marvel and superheroes, comic book characters, not just the heroes, but the villains as well? Like, it's a mouthful. But
yeah, that's not the one, I promise.
I think that beats the 100 character limit at least. But yeah, even when it comes to is it DC versus Marvel, is it Marvel versus DC? Do you go with characters or heroes or, any of those kind of things? The basic point is exactly the same as, pretty self-explanatory. WWE Survivor Series is an event which, if you are, just on the Fanboys Anonymous side and you're not on the Smark Out Moment side of it, Survivor Series is a show where WWE puts on, it's been traditionally these elimination matches where it's 5-on-5. They end up having teams of people against each other, and one by one people get eliminated, and there's either a sole survivor or just multiple people on a team. And over the course of many years, they've done Raw versus SmackDown, the two different brands, the blue brand being SmackDown, the red brand being Raw. And it's for brand supremacy. There's nothing necessarily on the line, but the idea was pitched of what if you did characters in Marvel and DC, and how would you make a card based off of that? They also do things that are champion versus champion matches. So the two different brands have like their world champion, the women's champion, tag champs, etc. And that was applicable too. So this card blew up, excuse me, where I started to work on it, and the next thing I knew, I had 70 something matches. So I was like, all right, well, not only is this going to be something we have to pre-record in advance, and that's why we're doing it now, but it's also something that I needed to split up in multiple ways. So part 1 of this is over on the Smark Out Moment website. So head on over to smarkoutmoment.com. You will get the explanation of a lot of different things here, a bunch of different matches, but also the kind of extraneous information about like the venue for it, what Access is all about, the time limited matches being in hyper time.
You put more work into this than most people put into like things that they make a 6-figure salary on. Like,
that's what's both it's charming and sad.
Yeah, depends on your perspective of the day. But it's genuinely so much fun, and I wish we could see something like this. I mean, with all of the merging going on in entertainment, how have we not gotten DC versus Marvel, at least for a video game?
Hey, who knows? I mean, there's Marvel versus Capcom.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, DC versus Mortal Kombat, Marvel versus Capcom. Like, how have they not just said, hey, we'll make a buttload of money if we just put these guys in a game together to do this?
People can't play nice. And those people should be paying attention to this. They should also be paying attention to the Blueprint project, because obviously if you are digging what I put down here, then you would be much, much more interested in the storyline aspects of the, the superhero blueprints, like the X-Men blueprint or the Spider-Man blueprint, which is called Web of Lives. The X-Men one doesn't have a title yet. I still haven't quite decided on that one. Got the Superman one. I got the Batman one, which if you've been checking out on Fanboys Anonymous before, the Batman at Nighttime story, 100 records from the Wayne Foundation archives, or the Power Rangers one, Absolute Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Epic. All those types of things are also indicative of me just sitting down, planning a bunch of things out, and just being like, oh, how do I fix Star Wars? Or what do I do if I wanted to mix James Bond stuff up and do like the the short form James Bond thing. I'm also honestly thinking about doing another offshoot Blueprint thing where I'm doing like, for instance, the Spider-Man one. I was like, I wonder if I could make something where it's like, all right, in this version, Peter Parker is Miles Morales, essentially. Like, let's have a black Peter Parker, and let's take like Ned and Mary Jane or like, let's put it this way, like Mary Jane and Gwen and Michelle Gonzalez and all these other characters. I'd be like, okay, what's the one love interest? And like really kind of cut it down to the most basic. I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
My Spider-Man, it will forever be Peter Parker, but I understand what you're saying. You're trying to merge the best of the best. Yeah,
but Peter Parker, definitely over Miles. We already talked about Miles last time around, but we will talk about Peter Parker this time. So the extra info stuff is kind of out of the way that we have done before. But what we're going to do for this time is run down not only the rest of the matches, because we talked about like the women's 10-on-10 Survivor Series elimination match. We haven't done the men's yet. We had the women's world champion match of like Wonder Woman versus She-Hulk. And we didn't do the men's of that. And then, you know, we've got many, many other matches that are going on for that. So we got that in store. We also have what I would say are just a series of dark matches. Now, if you are somebody who's just on Fanboys and you don't follow pro wrestling, a dark match is when you do something that is not necessarily broadcast on the event. So typically, if it's like a TV show, then they record it in advance just for the live audience, or they might do something that they recorded and then they air it at another time, but it's not aired at the same time, or it's like a pre-show type thing. I didn't really book this in the sense of like, okay, well, this match and then this match and then this match. This is your opener and this is your closer, that kind of thing. But the dark matches would be basically spread out between these two nights, which these nights would go on forever if it's as long as these matches are. But I figured, you know, we talked about all the commentary team type stuff, and then that podcast was going to run super long, and then this one was going to be shorter. I figured I'd move all the dark matches over to this one, talk more match side of it. So as we go along here and we run down this card of these things that I've created, I want to know what you have to say. So drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure that you're hitting the like button on this video to let me know that you enjoyed this. Make sure, obviously, if you have not already checked out part 1, to go back and check that out. And also stay tuned for part 3 of this, because on the Smark Out Moment channel, we're going to do another variation of it that I did, which is the War Games concept. Now, it's going to be part of the Darkcast here on the Patreon, but I am going to most likely release it as well over on Fanboys Anonymous on the Patreon, just in case, you know, people are interested in just having the one or the other one. It doesn't hurt me to upload it to both. So if you are interested in that, patreon.com/fanboysanonymous or patreon.com/smarkoutmoment, or obviously youtube.com/fanboysanonymous, youtube.com/smarkoutmoment. It bugs me so much that I can't get Fanboys Anonymous on Twitter because it's just one character too long.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so it's either Fanboy Anonymous or Fanboys Anonymous. And I don't think Fanboys Anonymous is a thing.
So why the need for dark matches? Knowing you, I feel like, is there like a pun here? Do they all involve dark individuals or dark stipulations?
Sadly, there isn't. It's mostly these matches were matches that I didn't care as much about, and I didn't want to make the graphics for.
Okay, I understand
so
that.
That's why you're going to see on your screen, at least right now, you're going to see the Blue Brother and the Red Brother, our general managers of Raw and not Raw and SmackDown, of DCvsMarvel, and no other graphics until I switch over. And some of these dark matches are me talking about the ideas that I didn't do as well, because there are lots of names that I couldn't get around to and I couldn't figure out what to do with. But for instance, one of them being, I was considering doing Riddler versus Arcade, with the idea in mind that they both do like lots of traps and like setting people up with their intelligence, and they have no powers and all that. And then I was like, really? Nah, I don't really want to see that. How do they both set each other up for a trap? The other one has to go into the other trap. You know what I mean?
It's a trap match. which is
So I don't.
different than a strap match.
It's slightly different. There's no tapping the corners necessarily, but there's other kind of like you gotta do this, you gotta hit that switch, that kind of thing.
You know, I'm a little intrigued by the idea of a trap match.
It's a Caribbean trap match.
It's like the opposite of a strap match, where with the strap match you have to hit the turnbuckles to get the match to stop, but here you're flipping the switches to kind of get out of the room quick enough. I don't know. I'm thinking now.
It's like an escape the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't pick winners for most of these, so they don't really count. But also I was thinking Vandal Savage versus Mr. Sinister, with the idea in mind that they're both like semi-immortal and they both have been alive for a long time and they're very like interested in genetics and all, but that's not really a match. It's more just like a conflict of ideologies. So they'd almost be better as managers.
Sometimes that could make for a great match.
Yeah, Bobby Heenan could have had a good match against some other managers like Captain Lou Albano and all. I was going back and forth between either Commander Citizen or Citizen Steel, Commander Steel or Citizen Steel. That's the phrasing. Yeah, he's been going through a couple different names against Captain Britain, because I was like, it's kind of like a Captain America and a kind of a Captain America type, and they're both tough and whatever. And I'm like, nobody cares about those characters. Fuck them. I also thought about Oracle, the AI program, against the Jarvis AI from the movies, rather than Jarvis being Edwin Jarvis, the butler. With
the referee being Brother Eye?
That's a good idea. I do have Brother Eye elsewhere, though. I probably could just put them into the other match, that Big Bray AIN match that I had talked about, Brainiac and the Manhunters and all. I probably could have just...
You did have like the big brain.
Yeah. Okay. So I could have like Ultron working with Jarvis and all that. I probably should have just done that. That would have made more sense. I have either Bawana Beast, which most people will be like, who? Or the Creeper against Beast from X-Men. Basically like hoppy animal dudes. But I ended up putting Beast in another spot instead. I mentioned before I couldn't...
Good. He deserved more.
Yeah. I couldn't figure out any kind of gorilla things or monkey things from Marvel. So like Gorilla Grodd got shafted on this card, and Monsieur Mala and Titano the Super Ape and the Ultra Humanite and all these other Superman kind of characters. Superman fights way too many monkeys. I was really disappointed I couldn't figure out somebody to go up against the Question from DC, because he's cool. But I couldn't think of anybody like who is a faceless noir detective kind of person in Marvel. There really isn't anybody that stood out to me.
Better noir.
That'd be one-sided though, because you can't beat Nick Cage with a Rubik's Cube.
That is true.
Apparently in the Spider-Man game, if you are that character and he's like swinging, he takes out the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I've seen that Easter egg floating around. I don't know, I would say the Spot, but I guess not really.
I actually do have the Spot on this card. He's got a spot on the card. Huh? Look at that.
Look at that.
I couldn't think of anybody for Dr. Midnight. I also hate how they type out Dr. Midnight. Just MID-NITE. I don't like that. Supernova was another character. I couldn't think of anybody to go up against. A lot of people might not necessarily even know who Supernova is in DC. Same for Rocket Red or Geoforce or Libra. It was actually mostly the DC characters that I was thinking of, and then I couldn't think of a Marvel person for it. Like Jonah Hex was another one. Like, what cowboy characters are there in Marvel? I don't know. And I thought maybe like Jonah Hex against Dum Dum Dugan from the whole like Howling Commandos. But then again, that's just a win for Jonah Hex, and I don't think Dum Dum Dugan necessarily needs to be on this card.
Star-Lord can be considered a space cowboy.
I guess he could, yeah. But he would win. couldn't think of anybody for Beast Boy or Animal Man, which is surprising too because there's also Vixen, but I already mentioned her in the last thing, but DC has multiple people can use like the totems of animals, and I don't think that there's like anybody like that in Marvel.
Yeah.
Except maybe there's like some X-Men characters that can like turn into like, there is technically Wolfsbane can turn into like a wolf, but I don't know if I would really put like Beast Boy against Wolfsbane. Like Beast Boy could just turn into another animal and there you go. That's the win, you know?
We kind of talked about that last time where it was like there's a lot of animal-based things, especially monkeys for DC.
Yeah. They just love going ape over there.
They sure do.
I considered putting Our Man on here. Couldn't think of anything for him. I was going to put the League of Assassins against the Hand. And that one I actually did pick a winner for. I was going to go with the Hand on that one. Since they're typically more overall powerful. I also have Wildcat from DC against Stick from the Daredevil series, which I think I'd probably go with Wildcat on that one. But
I can't believe you didn't put Stick against Stone.
Well, Stick and Stone are both Marvel.
Well, no, I was thinking of there's a brief time where Cyborg like infiltrate the Brotherhood becomes Stone. And it's Stick versus Stone.
I was just gonna say, if there was a team that was called Break Your Bones, then I probably would have had them against Stick and Stone from Marvel.
It's Stick and Stone against Break Your Bones.
And then the special guest referee would have been Words, because Words can never hurt you. I'm here all day, folks.
This is why we're here.
I considered doing a battle royal of multiple different kinds. I mentioned before, like the big man buffet that I always have in the fantasy booking stuff for Smark Out Moment. One of my variations of that was going to be the Weather Wizard Elemental Invitational, where it was going to be all different ice and fire and like the Geoforce character, like people who can control the elements. And then eventually I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe you could just do the ice-based thing. So it was going to be like Icicle, Killer Frost, Captain Cold, Mr. Freeze, and Ice against Iceman, Blizzard, Laufey, and like other kind of ice characters. And then there wasn't enough ice characters in
Age of Elimination
Marvel.
Battle Royale.
Age of Elimination?
Yeah. Ice Age.
Oh, I get it. That sounds epic enough that somebody should do that for like an actual like an MLW promotion or something, you know?
Yeah, somebody would.
Age of Elimination. I like that.
Thank you.
I also considered switching around on the card, some different things. I almost put Hawkgirl and Hawkman in a married couple squabble against a different married couple. I mentioned before, like I almost put the Fantastic Four
and Jean Grey. Did you think of anything with Cyclops except for putting him with Wolverine?
He was eventually going to be the leader of the X-Men, and it was going to be like the X-Men against some kind of group in DC. But then I couldn't really figure out one like that really made a whole lot of sense. And then it was like there's way too many X-Men, and there's not enough for the other people too.
That's fair.
I don't have spots for let's see. I don't have spots for Venom. I was disappointed in that. I didn't give anything for Metallo. I really wanted to do something like Starro against like a monsterish thing like Shumagorath, but I ended up not doing that. I was really disappointed I couldn't figure out Groot and Rocket against something, but how do you find something in DC that's a tree and a raccoon against each other?
That's where you put the fucking Wonder Twins.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, to get the monkey to go along with that too. Well, another monkey in DC. See,
Shape of.
I couldn't figure out anything for MODOK or Multiple Man or Rick Jones or Kitty Pryde or Quake. Well, no, I put Quake elsewhere. America Chavez.
You couldn't figure out what to do with the calling her Nightcrawler. With was it Shadowcat?
Yeah. Because at one point I was thinking maybe Miss Martian, but then Miss Martian's got way too many other powers. Like, she clearly beats Kitty.
What you do, someone like Kitty would be stuck in a Survivor Series elimination match or a battle royal where she can use her powers for some fun spots, like a Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, Naomi saving herself and then getting eliminated right after, kind of thing.
Yeah, but then she eventually doesn't win.
Yeah. Same for like X-23 or Frankie Ray or Spitfire or Elsa Bloodstone. One of the big ones that I didn't figure out, but I was really trying to think of, was a match with Squirrel Girl.
Okay.
Which, no matter who she would have been up against, the gimmick most likely would have been her against somebody that she is massively underpowered against, and she wins. Because that's like Squirrel Girl's gimmick. Like, she's beaten Doctor Doom and Thanos and Galactus. And it's like how she can control squirrels. And they just keep making her beat people like that. Have
you considered putting her against Superman?
Maybe.
That's what you do. Or, that would be that's a fun gimmicky match for Batman. Like, I'm Bruce Wayne, I'm Batman, how am I losing to this?
Maybe her against like Libra, because Libra has like the ability to get everybody's powers. So it's like there's no way that Squirrel Girl can beat Libra. And then, oh, look at that, Squirrel Girl's beating Libra. And then everybody just laughs. And Thanos gets taken away in regular handcuffs, like by normal cops. Comics are so dumb. I also have 6 other matches that these I did actually pick winners for, but I just didn't create the graphics for them because some of them were kind of a little bit too difficult to create the graphics for, and then I just kind of ran out of time for 1 or 2 of them. One of them being a tag team match between Iceman and Pyro.
Very nice.
Teaming up against Icicle and Sunboy. Pretty self-explanatory. It's the ice guy and the ice teenager and fire teenager against the ice teenager and the fire teenager.
That's ultimately dumb because they really just cancel each other out. Nobody wins that match, right? They just
no. Iceman definitely wins. Iceman's insanely powerful.
I mean, that's fair from a notoriety perspective, but like, that's dumb. Like, it's like, when you think about it in practice, like, wouldn't they all just cancel each other out?
You would think, but the more that like Icicle hasn't done as much as Iceman, and Iceman can like freeze the blood in people and like take the atmosphere and mess it around. Icicle's like, I made an icicle.
I mean, well, when you say it like that, he's clearly not winning anything.
Right. Icicle Jr. I should have specified too, instead of just regular Icicle, because you got to go with the teenagers. So that's a win for Marvel in a dark match. Another win for Marvel is what I'm calling the Jack Kirby Clash. It is the Eternals against the New Gods. And the New Gods are super duper powerful. And the idea in mind being, obviously the 2 characters, the sets are created by Jack Kirby. So, I'd like to kind of put them up against each other. And that doesn't count the New Gods that are like, Darkseid and the ones that kind of are elsewhere on the card. But all the more reason why Icarus and some of those other Eternals are going to win that one. There's if anybody catches this reference, it's great. The We Are Wild and Young mixed tag team matches.
The NXT mixed tag team?
Yeah, not quite NXT, but they are teams of young people. There's the Teen Titans against the Young Avengers. So that's like, that's where you would put like a Beast Boy in there.
Was that the reference though?
Yeah, the NXT song. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And Teen Titans beat Young Avengers. Legion of Superheroes also against the Power Pack or the Runaways or both. You could just kind of combine them. But Legion of Superheroes win because they are more powerful than those as well. And I don't know anything about the Power Pack, and I know virtually nothing about the Runaways. I don't know much about Legion of Superheroes. I know I'm not a big fan of them, but they at least are like a bigger, more prominent team that have a more variety of powers. There are 2 other dark tag team matches. This one is, they don't have any gimmick names. I couldn't think of any. But one of them is Deadman and Constantine against Blade and Morbius. This is very much like a, it's like vampires and magic and bears on my. And despite how it's like a vampire and a vampire hunter against a ghost and a, I don't know what you would constitute Constantine, but I think that Constantine gets the win for DC on that one. I think he can figure out a way to get rid of Blade and Morbius.
Deadman being Dick?
Not the Dick version, the Boston Brand.
Buried alive.
I like that. And then it's like, hey, some of you already are.
Yeah.
And the other dark tag team match is Starman and Captain Comet against Captain Universe and Star Brand. Star blank and Captain. This is basically just like, hey, you got people that are insanely powerful cosmic beings, and Quasar and all those kind of characters are all like watching by ringside, and I'm gonna go Captain Universe and Star Brand winning that one for Marvel.
That works for me. I have no dog in that fight.
Do you even know who some of them are?
No.
I don't blame you at all. That's what like deep cut type stuff on that front. So now let's get into the actual, like the matches that have, stakes to them and are with characters that people would actually understand. One of them being the Butler Battle. It is Alfred Pennyworth against Edwin Jarvis.
Alfred wins because he's Alfred.
Hell yeah, Alfred wins. Alfred's a badass.
I mean, yeah, besides all the badass elements of Alfred, he's also just Alfred.
Yeah, I mean, not only is Alfred better than Jarvis, period, because Jarvis is actually better as an AI, but Alfred's, former SIS and MI6 and all. So you're not going to mess with Alfred. Alfred's had moments in comics where he's been like, hey, my boss doesn't kill people, but I've got a shotgun, motherfucker. Like, Alfred definitely gets a win for DC on that one. Let's see. That's the next one that I should go for. Let's go for the.
Hold on. Do you think Jarvis at any point would say, "Please, we can do a deal. I'll buy you a delegate"?
He does kind of look like Blofeld in this picture, doesn't he?
Yeah, and with Alfred being, MI6.
Yeah, it's even better. So I haven't been keeping track of like the DC and Marvel wins on this particular list of things, but at the end I've calculated it all, so we'll say that at the end of this. Let's go for, last time there was the Fun House of Horrors match of Scarecrow against Mysterio, people that are very much like mental, hallucination type things. So let's do another one of those because we have to try to balance out the card here and there. And this one is the mental gymnastics match. It is the Mad Hatter on DC against either the Purple Man or Puppet Master from Marvel. Both are basically kind of the Mad Hatter character in a different way. Puppet Master is, I guess, closer to Mad Hatter, but Purple Man's cooler. So I kind of look at it as like, if it's Purple Man versus Mad Hatter, Purple Man wins. If it's Puppet Master versus Mad Hatter, I'm going to go Mad Hatter. But between the two, I think I would lean more towards giving a win to Purple Man.
All right, I mean, that makes sense.
Did you ever watch the Jessica Jones TV show?
I saw a few episodes early on. I was kind of disheartened when they just kind of canceled all that stuff.
Yeah. Kilgrave's great. He's one of the better villains that they had on that. And Purple Man is a gimmick that like sounds stupid and for all intents and purposes could be really dumb. But the idea of just like, and he's just like in the comics for some reason, he's just purple. I don't know why. But it's much better when he's just a guy who like wears purple like they did in that. And he's got some messed up stuff that he's done. Mad Hatter too, but Mad Hatter's like also just smaller. So I think that even if it's just a fist fight, I think Purple Man could win. Which is really kind of like dumb to say, but yeah, you got to factor that in. And obviously it's called mental gymnastics for the pun because there's lots and lots of puns when it comes to these things. Let's go for if we're talking about puns, the Death by Snoo Snoo match.
Well, we're in Futurama now?
Yes, we are. This is Giganta against the Man Killer. And we have a special guest referee. It's Stiltman. Well, if they're really tall, the only person that can be the referee is Stiltman.
It's just, I like the Death by Snoo Snoo.
Both of these characters are like Amazonian muscular women that can grow to the size of buildings, basically. And I never knew Man Killer existed until I started to research that. I was like, is there another version of Giganta in Marvel? And it's Man Killer. And with a name like Man Killer, they're really just kind of like going for it. But I like Giganta better, so Giganta gets the win for DC.
I would go with Man Killer just because the name is there.
Well, to be fair, she is Man Killer, not Woman Killer.
That is true. And Giganta, you know what they say, right?
About big feet?
Well, yes, but plenty of women are big.
If anybody gets that reference, you definitely have been following Smark at the moment. Good old Papa Tunde Battle Royal, right?
That's my favorite inside joke.
It's definitely one of my favorites too. A woman. Let's see. Let's go for the lightning round tag team match. This one is Black Lightning and Static Shock. And I almost made it a 3-on-3 match and threw actually I almost made it a 4-on-4 because Black Lightning's a weird character. Black Lightning was adapted twice on cartoons without them calling him Black Lightning. Like Juice in the Justice League show and the oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. Black Vulcan in the Super Friends. I don't know why they didn't just call him Black Lightning, but it's like, yeah, he looks the same, he has the same powers, he's exactly the same. So, and I was just like, you know what?
Some kind of like maybe something else at the time had the Black Lightning. And they just didn't want to confuse kids.
It could be that. Maybe they didn't want something going on with like, because that's stupid when like they do certain things like Spider-Man can't punch people because then kids might punch people, so you could just throw crates at them and kick them and all that other kind of crap. Maybe they thought like Black Lightning would be like, oh, people want to get like electrocuted or something, for all we know. But they are accompanied by their valet, Livewire.
Yeah.
And they're up against Electro and the Living Lightning from Marvel. And they're accompanied by their not quite manager, more so just an entity kind of hanging around ringside of Zax. And I say it like that way because it's ZZZAX. It's a Hulk character.
Obviously Black Lightning and Static Shock take it here.
No, Electro.
Why?
Because he's Electro.
Okay.
Electro is pretty powerful. And now, if you're going with like who's ultimately cooler, Black Lightning and Static Shock are like they're cooler.
Yeah, that's the way I do these things.
But I think I'd go the win with Electro. If it would go the opposite way, it would definitely be Living Lightning taking the pin.
Yeah, because he just seems dumb.
Yeah, I don't know I really don't know anything about Living Lightning. What a dumb name too, right?
Yeah, dumb.
Let's see what else we got. We got a singles match between some heavy hitters of the Phantom Stranger against the Beyonder. Are you familiar with Phantom Stranger?
Not too much, but I like the look. You know what I'm saying? I like this image here.
He's got
the
that
Phantom
like
Stranger.
noir kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like that. He's very pulpy looking, and I think
Yeah.
that's always exciting.
Phantom Stranger is a weird character because they treat him like he's godlike, but at the same time, I don't really know what his deal is. And he's old school enough, you know, DC goes back further than Marvel, that like it's weird that he hasn't popped up more often. But Beyonder is much more well known. And Beyonder, if we're going classic Beyonder, slaps. Like, this dude kicks ass. He looks like a weird fucking disco guy, but he's responsible for Battleworld. He is like blinking people out of existence and all. And as powerful as Beyonder, as Phantom Stranger is, I'm going Beyonder on this one.
That's not what I would go with, but you're the authority.
Respect my authority. I mean, if you go classic Beyonder, like, nobody really beat him. And so it's like, he's kind of hard to top. Now, if you go with like the Beyonder that realized that he's a living cosmic cube and immediately got nerfed, then I'd probably go Phantom Stranger. But I'm going to go classic Beyonder here. Give a win to that smiling motherfucker on the right.
You said cube, and I can just think of Mr. Burns. Is it about my cube?
Let's see another one that we got going on here. This is the Parts Unknown False Count Anywhere match. It is the Mirror Master against the Spot.
He got his own match. Good for him.
He would not have if the Across the Spider-Verse movie had not come out yet. Because Spot was so dumb before that movie.
But isn't that great? Like, isn't that special? Like, this generation. Like, for example, my generation, because of Toby, like, the Green Goblin was the Spider-Man villain for a while. You know? I always preferred Venom because I knew the show.
Right.
But, like, that was the Spider-Man villain.
Maybe in the future, Mirror Master is going to get the same treatment, but I doubt it.
You never know.
But it's, a guy who can create these dimensional portals against the guy who can create dimensional portals because he is them. One's got it baked into his body, the other one's got a gun for it. And ultimately, if you go with the person who needs a gun to be able to do it, or the person who has it all over his body, Spot's got to win here.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Should we have a pun match or one that doesn't have a gimmicky name to it?
I go pun match.
All right, so then let's go with let's find them on here. This is the Don't Get Hot With Me not mixed tag team, women's tag team match. Fire and Ice.
Are they the Amazing Friends? You fucking nerd.
The Fire and Ice are Team Icy Hot.
Okay.
And Crystal and Firestar from Marvel are the Amazing Friends. Now, the reason why they're the Amazing Friends is because Firestar comes from Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends.
I know why.
And the reason why Crystal's there instead of Iceman is because Crystal is the closest that I could come to having some kind of mutant ice female character. She is an inhuman rather than a mutant, but they're practically the same thing. And I'm not a big fan of the Inhumans. I think that the Inhumans is one of those ideas that it's like too many offshoots of the same concept. You get like the mutants and the Eternals and the Inhumans and the Deviants and it's like Crystal's not a great character and all. And it's kind of gender swapping out the Iceman thing. I also thought about going Iceman and Pyro against Fire and Ice and doing like just an intergender match kind of thing.
This is an obvious no, but you would never put Spider-Man with his Amazing Friends in a trio, would you?
No, definitely not. Spider-Man's way too important for that. And Iceman,
They're
for that
amazing.
matter, too. They could accompany him ringside. But Firestar is a character that I'm like, they could do more with Firestar. And I kind of like the idea of doing something like that. So, yeah, this is basically the men's equivalent of that Iceman and Pyro against Icicle and Sunboy thing. But this time it's going to be a little bit different because this time Fire and Ice win it. I'm going to go with not only the characters that I think are a better team, team dynamics are important, but also I know full well not to bet against a Brazilian. So.
That's very funny.
I love that thing in the Justice League cartoon where Wally is like eyeballing Fire and Hawkgirl's like, oh, you know what? I've heard about her, right? Implying that she's a lesbian. And then he's like, what? And she's like, she's Brazilian. It's like, he just goes, oh, ha ha. Like, yeah, so Fire and Ice, Team Icy Hot gets the win there. It's nice and cool seeing them win that.
And also hot.
We got plenty more puns. So let's go for the Devil's Playground singles match. Necron from DC against Mephisto. These are essentially the devil in both their ways. Neither of them are officially the devil. It's the weirdest, like, they love playing around with, they basically were the devil, but they're not kind of characters. Necron's like a personification of death in a lot of ways. And Mephisto is like basically Satan, but not. So it's they're playing around. Devil's Playground match.
And Mephisto wins brand recognition.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mephisto. I just like Mephisto better. And now, if they were in his realm, even more so, because that's when he's the most powerful. Necron's
like a 2 out of 3 falls. You get one on his realm, and
Actually, you know what? Now that you bring that up, it's a draw. Because it should be. Mephisto is more powerful in his realm, but at the same time, Necron's got the Black Lightning, not Black Lightning, the Black Lantern stuff. They really should kind of cancel each other out. So we're going to go with a draw on that one. I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. Look, you're influencing the card.
That's why I'm here.
This is proof that all you need is to listen to the audience sometimes. Yeah, well, WWE. Let's see. We got the Stargirl and Stripe combo, otherwise known as Stars and Stripes.
You're so dumb.
They're up against War Machine and Ironheart, otherwise known as Armor Wars, and this is the Medal of Honor mixed tag team match.
The thing is, I can just imagine you at like 4:45 in the morning going Stars and Stripes. So good.
So I mean, it's a mech older guy and his teenage girl sidekick. Although Stargirl's more of the leader of the team and he's the sidekick, but go with me on it. And War Machine being the older mech guy against his. Now Ironheart has a mech suit instead of powers, but Stargirl and her staff is powerful and all. But I do think that overall, I mean, Stripe sucks. And Rhodey is great. I don't really have a personal favorite between Stargirl and Ironheart, but I like Stargirl a little bit better. But I like War Machine better than all of them. So I'm going to go Armor Wars over on the Marvel side for winning this one. They win the Medal of Honor.
Is there a Medal of Honor to be given?
It's just a gear.
Fair enough.
They just give him a bunch of washers. When you do the deed and you say I do, they say it is till death do us part. Well, Hawk and Dove, our team, make love and war. Uh-huh. And Cloak and Dagger, our team, freak in the sheets.
Nice.
Because Cloak is the sheets and Dagger is the freak because she's also a mutant.
I like that.
Now, Hawk and Dove for this one are Hank Hall and Dawn Granger from the Titans show and other material, obviously. But I went with them because they're obviously the married couple. That's the whole point of the Till Death Do Us Part thing. But they are accompanied by their siblings, Don and Holly, maybe even also Sasha Martins and Wiley Wolverine.
Cloak and Dagger any good of the show?
I watched one episode of it and I wasn't digging it. And I was just like, this isn't really connected. I don't need to watch it. And then it got canceled. So Cloak and Dagger is a team that I almost think that they would work better in DC. Certain characters I want to do that swap thing at some point and just be like, Cloak and Dagger would be they would be, if you take them out of the mutant side of it and you put them in the Justice League Dark side of Swamp Thing and Zatanna and all, I think that's the spot that they would be the coolest in. For that matter, Hawk and Dove, I think, would be better Avengers than Justice League members. They should just swap. Hey, maybe that's what it could be.
More content for you.
It's a swap. They turn the pineapple upside down. I would pick Dove in that one.
Okay.
If it's the Minka Kelly thing. But Cloak and Dagger get the win here. They are mutants after all, and they do have more powers. So I'm going to go with them. There is logic to some of these things. Some of the logic is just, this makes me laugh. And that applies to Vibe against Shocker in what is called a shocking turn of events.
I hate you. Shocker gets the win.
Vibe gets the win.
Does he yell, Shocker, you can't escape me?
See, the reason why he gets the win is because he would go to the end of the earth.
I'll chase you to the end of the earth.
Also, Shocker's just got the tech, and Vibe has the actual powers. So, once again, go with the person who's got the powers over that. Kind of balances out the Mirror Master and Spot thing. Vibe's a character that I'm not the biggest fan of, but he was a decent enough addition in the Flash TV show. And Shocker's cool, but Shocker is one of those, he's never going to solo a movie for Spider-Man,
But he should.
At least we got him in this newer series. True. But he's more of a Sinister Six type dude. Vibe gets a win for DC on that one. Let's go to... I didn't give a name for this one. I couldn't think of anything. I kind of went with the Skyfathers idea. So I just put Skyfathers singles match. It's Highfather from the New Gods against Odin. The Asgardian, obviously.
Odin wins.
Highfather is incredibly powerful. But the thing about Highfather that sucks? He sucks.
Yeah.
Darkseid kicks his ass all the time. Highfather just sits around and goes oh, I don't know, I guess I'm going to die someday or something. Odin's a badass. Odin loses an eye and he's yeah, I'm better for it. Fuck yeah, Odin wins.
I guess I'm going to sit around and die someday.
Yeah, Highfather never does anything from what I've seen. He's all just well, when's Orion going to pick up the slack and beat Darkseid?
I like it.
Plus, Odin's Anthony Hopkins. So, you can't go against Anthony Hopkins, right?
Fair.
Let's see. Let's go Miss Martian against Emma Frost in a battle of beauty, bronze, and brain.
I feel like Miss Martian's too powerful.
She totally is. This is definitely something that, Emma Frost can turn into her diamond form, and that kind of takes her away from being susceptible to the telepathy, and they can have a telepathic battle and all. But Miss Martian's got multiple other powers. Emma Frost, I can turn into a diamond and I'm telepathic. Okay, what are you going to do when Miss Martian becomes intangible? or shapeshifts or stretches. All that kind of stuff. Nope, this is a Miss Martian win.
I agree.
Emma Frost almost on the team for like an X-Men type thing. Miss Martian was almost on the women's Survivor Series match. Very close to being on that.
Good win for her. Good, strong win for DC. Well, I feel like has won more of these.
DC's getting a lot more of the wins on night 2 compared to night 1. I just mentioned the X-Men not having a more dedicated thing that Emma Frost was almost on, but there is another, like, some of the leftovers thing. It's the Doom Patrol against the X-Men in a ew, get off my screen tag team match.
I'm sorry, it's the Doom Patrol against the what?
The X-Men.
In an ew, get off my screen match.
Because it's like, oh, you monsters, you freaks, get off my screen. Doom Patrol is all gross, and X-Men has characters like, you know, Nightcrawler and Beast and I mean, technically like Archangel and all. And they certainly get the win over the Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol just does not match up to a character like a Gambit or Bishop or Cable or anybody on that end. And I have all sorts of different characters. You know, there's a million X-Men. So it's like, who do you go with, you know? But Gambit definitely would be in here because I didn't put him elsewhere on the card. And their manager, of course, would be Professor Xavier. Maybe Forge is also a manager. Here's where you could throw in Kitty Pryde. Here's where you can throw in fucking, if you want to throw Hellion in here for all you want, go for it. Maybe the Blob.
I like the Blob for an ew, get off my screen match. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, the Teen Titans and the all those characters. Teen Titans include like Aquagirl, Lagoon Boy, Offspring, Herald. Young Avengers has characters like Hulkling and Wiccan and Prodigy and maybe A-Bomb. I don't know. Maybe I'll put Rick Jones there. Patriot, Iron Lad, Cassie, Lang. I think I go Stinger, more stature, but forgot to mention that. So it's a win for X-Men on that front. And remember, everybody, drop your thoughts about these things. If you're like, no, here's the reason why Doom Patrol should have won or something, then make the argument. You might end up changing my mind.
To me that's like one of the only straight up. It's a Survivor Series match with two established factions of heroes.
Kind of like the Legion of Superheroes or the Teen Titans against the Young Avengers thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's not really, like, you would think, okay, we're doing DC versus Marvel Survivor Series. The first thing I'm booking is Justice League against the Avengers.
Right. And you know, like that's how I started a lot of this. And then the more that I started to kind of like break it down and write the characters, I was like, no, yeah, I actually want to have this person against that person. And no, I think that this is too strong on this end. And sometimes you go and you list everything and then you're like, oh, there's 50 people on this team and there's 12 on the other team, you know? I also, for some things like this is Checkmate versus Shield. This is a government work tag team match. I didn't bother to list the characters because it's like put whoever you want in there. That's where you can throw in like a Sasha Bordeaux. That's where you can throw in Amanda Waller is like over on the Checkmate side. King Faraday is over on there. Shield's got like Phil Coulson and Jimmy Woo and I mean any types of characters that you can throw Sharon Carter in there for Shield. You can put Nick Fury in there. I'm gonna go Shield.
Yeah, I think that's better. Even though Amanda Waller's a real hard-nosed bitch. Like, Amanda Waller can get shit done.
I love the Amanda Waller character. She's one of my favorite characters in DC. I really hope that they figure out a good use of her in the new series with like a Superman Legacy and all that. And they should just go ahead and keep Viola Davis. Like, she's a great Amanda Waller.
Oh, she's built for it.
Angela Bassett wasn't bad either for that one stint that she did in Green Lantern. She could have worked. But I like her better as Queen Ramonda, who is not on this card.
She also did the thing.
Yeah, Angela Bassett did the thing. That was so dumb. I don't know why that happened. Let's go with a couple of powerhouses here. The Survival of the Fittest Last Warmonger Standing singles match. It's Mongol against Apocalypse.
I mean, visually, this makes sense.
As much as it could possibly, right?
Yeah, this seems like it was one of the earliest things you booked.
Surprisingly, no. It was about midway through. Because I had been teasing ideas of like incorporating Thanos and Darkseid in with these guys. I had Mongol as like a head of War World doing something with like Mojo World and kind of showing like the worlds collide type thing. And then eventually I was looking at the list of like powerhouses and I was just like, oh shit, this makes perfect sense. Why didn't I go with this sooner? So as soon as they did that, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Survival of the Fittest. That's what they're into. War World is like, you know, battle it out for who ends up being the survival of the fittest kind of thing. Apocalypse is, of course, always, you know, the mutant kind is going to survive over humans. And this is a tough one to call. I do have a winner. Oh, you guessed it right. Because Mongols fought Superman and Apocalypse can lose to the X-Men, but Apocalypse can manipulate matter. And if if his control over his own molecules allows him to grow as big as he can get and all, the only way that Apocalypse ever loses fights is when they just like for plot armor purposes. Mongol can lose just by getting beaten. So Apocalypse wins. But that would be a tough one. Especially if you like limited Apocalypse to not being able to like grow to, you know, man killer size, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm glad that this is that's the route you went. I don't know. I like Apocalypse.
I love
but
Apocalypse.
I'm also an X-Men guy.
I love Mongol too, but I like Apocalypse more. And I just mentioned them, so I might as well mention them now. The Infinity Equation Gauntlet singles match, Darkseid against Thanos. Two Titans, one of them quite literally, one of them a god. And this is another tough one as well.
Yeah, that one's tougher for me.
Because Darkseid is one of those characters that they've done a lot of things over the years where it's like, well, it's not really Darkseid. It's not his like true form. He kills lots of different people. He
killed Superman.
He takes out gods. He's basically like the top of the top villain in the entirety of DC. But Thanos is also Thanos. And the real tricky thing here, does Thanos have the Infinity Gauntlet?
No.
If he doesn't...
He can get it halfway through the match.
If he doesn't have it, Darkseid wins. If he has it, then... That
can be a way to create, you know, tension.
Then it's like then it's kind of a more even match. But if Thanos has the heart of the universe, then Thanos wins. But since that's dependent on two things, one of them that only popped up once, I'm going to go Darkseid.
You did kill Superman. I'll sign off on that.
Thanos is thankfully at a time frame right now where he's getting the recognition he deserves. I remember when the Avengers movie came out and they have that, you know, the brief little split second thing of him at the end. And me and, you know, the nerds that were in the theater that actually knew who he was were just like, oh shit. Like, just kind of like, you don't even fucking know what's about to go down. And other people are just kind of like, who's the purple guy? What's Apocalypse doing here? And it's like, that's not that. They're going to do the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Like, you know. And then, of course, for the next, like, 10 years, everybody's just kind of like, say, because the Power Stones, whatever. Like, you know, we're all a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yeah, it's fine. It never gets old to me. Everybody's a fucking massive nerd now.
It's so crazy because I remember back, years and years and years ago being like, try to explain who Thor is to people. And now it's like everybody's grandmother knows who
Rocket Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon, yeah. Like it's like what? We're gonna get to a point where people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I know Korvac. Korvac not on this card, by the way. I couldn't think of anybody to go up against him. I did think though of this is so stupid. For people that do watch the movies and they get this reference. This is the main man event for non-dancers. It's dumb. It's Lobo against Drax. This is one of the dumbest names that I thought of. I thought it was so stupid that I was like, I gotta go with it. You got the main man. It's not quite a main event, but you might as well call it that. And Drax isn't a dancer. Neither is Lobo. Lobo's gonna get a win over Drax here. He's the destroyer, but Lobo is one of those like
hold on
comically powerful characters.
Oh, well, but Drax is literally Batista.
Well, Lobo's going to be Jason Momoa pretty soon. So.
Okay, I mean, I wonder if Roman was up for that role, but I'll allow it.
Funny enough, though, Jason Momoa was almost Drax.
Really?
He was like, if it wouldn't have been Batista, it would have been Jason Momoa.
That's interesting.
So all the more reason to put these two against each other. And they're just, like huge, muscular, alien, crazy warrior type guys and all. But Lobo is like, I mean, he was created to be a pastiche and just a ridiculously strong character. So Drax, as tough as he is, takes an L here. And he hasn't figured out how to be moving slowly enough to be fully invisible when he's eating those potato chips. I'd mentioned on the first round that there was It's Fight Night for the men's division of Karate Kid against Shang-Chi. It's time to get into the women's division. It's Fight Night match. And this is Lady Shiva. Oh my God, why can't I find this on this thing? Did I not upload this graphic the right way? I might not have uploaded the graphic. I need to switch that over. Haha, that's not good. Oh no, I do have it over here. It's Lady Shiva against Okoye.
I would put Lady Shiva over.
Lady Shiva's definitely going over. Now Okoye, accompanied by a lot of people ringside, she's got a cool entrance. Probably one of the coolest entrances that would happen in this. Because you got the whole Dora Milaje, you got the, the Bombay type chants and stuff. But Lady Shiva's arguably the best martial artist in DC. Okoye has never been given that kind of an honor.
I like it. It is Fight Night. I like the other Fight Night match better. But this works too.
That is also interesting enough to me that like if I would have done this DC versus Marvel thing 10 years ago, Okoye on the card? I don't know who the fuck Okoye is.
I know.
And it's like, look at how much of a difference the MCU puts in a lot of things. Okoye is great. Love Okoye. But yeah, Lady Shiva wins. Sandra Wusan picking up another one for DC. Also another win for DC, if we're going to go with these women's division matches. I mentioned that we have some cat fights. Last time around, we had Cheetah versus Tigra. So let's go with the real cat fight here. Catwoman against Black Cat. And this is a street cat fight.
What's wrong with you?
Many things.
Like, street cat.
If you got the pun out, if you got the pun there to have a street cat fight, come on. Like, I couldn't not do that.
I mean, that's enough of the riff-raff.
Just a little snack, guys. Well, they are more than just a little snack. Look at them.
Yeah, I always feel like, I mean, so, wins here, but I do like Black Cat.
I love Black Cat. And she
I like
is...
Felicia and Peter together.
I like them better as like that they don't work together, but I love Catwoman with Batman. And it's one of the rare instances where it's like, you know, I'm glad that Marvel was like, yeah, can we just rip off a DC character and do it? Because they did it well. And they did it well enough in their own way that like a lot of these are sort of like a, you know, that Thundra Power Princess type thing where it's like, no, you're just trying to do Wonder Woman and it's not as good. Catwoman and Black Cat are both great characters. Two of the like hottest characters that are in comics and stuff. Like you're never going to cast somebody to play these characters in movies that aren't going to be like super attractive.
I mean, say what you want. This could be a future fan track, so I've never seen it. But they put Halle Berry as Catwoman.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not saying
the movie's stupid, but she works, you know?
I've never seen it. We should see it.
I have not watched the full movie because I was just like, oh my God, this is so bad. But I watched a few scenes, in particular the basketball scene. One of the stupidest scenes I've ever seen. It's like two people flirting by playing basketball. Absolutely dumb. Catwoman in name only. But that's not the Catwoman that's here. This is Selena Kyle, not Patience Phillips. Although, if you're interested in the idea of Patience Phillips popping up in something, The Batman, A Nighttime Story, 100 Records from the Wayne Foundation Archives, that's actually an alias that she uses at some point. Because even a movie like that still needs to get referenced. But yes, Catwoman wins.
I like it.
Do you also like when different countries get along with each other?
Well, it depends on how much tank divisions there are between.
You definitely have to rewatch Octopussy. I think you'd like it a lot better this time around. We have 6 tank divisions in Czechoslovakia. If you are into politics, then you'd be into Lex Luthor versus Dr. Doom. It's a king of Latveria against the president of the United States in a diplomatic immunity duel.
Lex wins, right?
No.
No, you going with Doom?
No.
The world blows up?
What happens here is Lex wins by beating what turns out to be a Doom bot, because Dr. Doom always ends up being like, no, it was a Doom bot. And then by realizing that Dr. Doom was smart enough to pull that off and whatever, they both decide, why the fuck are we fighting with each other?
That's
and they shake it out, and it's diplomacy. They decide to call this one a draw.
That's the funniest thing you could have done.
Because realistically, Dr. Doom's way more powerful than Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, arguably smarter than Dr. Doom, but even that's kind of to an extent. And Lex Luthor's got his Kryptonian battle suit and all, so it's like, you know, we could have like a knockout, drag out fight, but ultimately these two are way too smart to just beat the shit out of each other. And I apologize for the sirens in the background, everybody. That's not from this battle being too crazy.
Where is it?
Lex and Doom are two of the very rare characters that I could always picture just being like, they always set aside their differences if need be. Like Luthor will be like, yeah, I'll work with the Justice League. And it's like, we don't trust you. And he's like, you shouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
And Doom will just be like, oh, I hate, you know, these heroes and stuff, but you're in my country and I need to show you like the proper cordial nature. So like, I'll invite you to dinner. Like, you know, I think these two would end up having a conversation and they would just be like, yeah, why are we fighting for these people? Fuck these people.
I like it.
It's one of the weirder outcomes that I have out here. Not one of the weirder looking matches, though, because I've got Hector Hammond against the Leader. This is another big brain brawl match because these two guys have big brains.
What are they overcompensating for?
They do not have the same shoe size as Giganta.
I guess not.
So Leader is obviously a Hulk villain, Hector Hammond, Green Lantern villain. A lot of green going on in this. Maybe make them a lot of green. I don't know. Let's see how much of a draw they can be. And,
nice.
I'm going to go with the leader winning this one. Hector Hammond's not a character I've been a big fan of.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I mean, when you're up against a Hulk and you can kind of figure out like ways to do that, then you get a little bit of a leeway. Not one of my top matches, but yeah, at least it's not a complete blowout like this match. This is Dr. Polaris against Magneto. In the opposites attract, heat magnets, how do they work? Singles match.
Okay.
It's a lot to unpack there.
I need you to stop. That looks like you got like Onslaught Magneto over there.
It's the coolest picture of Magneto I could find. Yeah.
He wins, right?
Oh, Magneto wipes the floor with Dr. Polaris. This is quite literally labeled on my doc as a squash match.
I like it. Magneto fucking rules.
Magneto is one of my absolute favorite comic book characters, period. Not even just like Marvel characters, not even just X-Men characters. And I was really considering putting him on the men's Survivor Series team. Very close to that. And then I was just like, I don't know if I would constitute Magneto in that kind of capacity. I don't know if he would work with that team. And I do kind of want to do him against Dr. Polaris, and I can't put Dr. Polaris on the Team DC. Like, nah, Dr. Polaris sucks in comparison. Sometimes you need a squash match.
Poor guy.
Yeah. He looks pretty cool, though. The way that they have him now. Like, this costume looks cool. The other costumes, really dumb. Let's go with a couple of battle bots here. It's Red Tornado against Vision.
Okay. Vision.
Vision definitely wins. Red Tornado is a character that I think a lot of people probably wouldn't realize that he's a little bit more powerful than what he seems. Like, I mean, he's got the ability to fight a lot of other DC characters that are hugely powerful, but Red Tornado is not going to win a fight against a character like Vision that has way more powers overall. And I like Vision way better.
I agree. I think Vision has jumped to the top of a lot of people's lists following WandaVision.
What do you like better, the green and yellow and red Vision or the white Vision?
White.
In the MCU, I don't, but overall, I like the white Vision better. And it might just be partially because I always liked that awful video game, Captain America and the Avengers.
Second time we referenced that.
I got to do a playthrough of that game or something again.
It's not great.
It's pretty awful.
Nothing ages well.
No, and every single character has the same. Oh, maybe I'll just do a watch through of somebody playing the game.
Yeah,
that might be a better way to do it. And should do a fan tracks of that in the future. Yeah, BattleBots. Yeah, we did the other BattleBots type thing, the big Brain Battle Royal, whatever it was called. But if we're gonna go gimmicky names and stuff, let's go with the Highway to Hell in a Cell singles match. Etrigan the Demon against Ghost Rider.
I like Etrigan for this.
Etrigan is a character that I will adamantly say I do not know the strength level of him. But the more that I've looked into Ghost Rider's nuts. They make him one of the most powerful characters that's out there. And it sounds a little ridiculous, but the reason I'm going to go Ghost Rider here also is if it's a Hell in a Cell match, Ghost Rider has the ability of taking that chain and making that covered in the Hellfire. He could do that with the entire Hell in a Cell.
I like that. That's really cool when you think about that visual.
The amount of stupid time you're saying that I was working 4 a.m. and thinking of stupid ideas for this type of stuff. I'm like, well, if he's got the chain here, then he could hook that into the cage and whatever. And I'm like, I need to go to bed.
But you know what? Look at all the cool shit that you've created here.
And if you think it's cool, hit the like button. Remember, everybody. Especially you hit the join button and, help us out on the monetary side of things. Because if you want more of this, you got to pick your poison tier. You could be like, dude, do more. And I'll fucking do it,
You would gladly do more of this.
Clearly, I did the bulk of the work of like getting all the graphics and stuff. You can just keep that. Not have to do as much prep work, That way I'm not jumping around trying to figure out how can I get a better image of Ambush Bug for the Ambush Bug versus Deadpool match. This is kind of an intermission, kind of like the intermission, but it's the fourth wall free-for-all.
Yeah.
Two characters that know that they are in comics and they are comedic and they are kind of crazy and all, and Deadpool, of course, wins this. Come on. I'm not giving a win to Ambush Bug over Deadpool.
But he might come close. Or they could spend the entire time making fourth wall jokes, but him never coming close.
I'm curious if anybody listening to this knows Ambush Bug. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you know anything at all about Ambush Bug. Deadpool, obviously, people know.
Oh, that Ambush Bug before this.
How much did I know?
Yeah.
Not too much, to be honest. I've always known the character has been around for however many years, but it's not a character that they ever really do anything with. He's never on Justice League show or this is an episode of Superman and it's revolving around Ambush Bug. Whereas Deadpool's full on mainstream. The third movie is apparently going to be the most important movie to this whole entire phase, which is crazy.
That rules though.
Deadpool rocks. That. And I remember as well when Deadpool was a character that nobody knew, and I had the action figure in the 90s, and I had an issue of the comic book that looked really rad. And people are like, "I was a Spider-Man."
It's a beautiful thing, but it's also a little stressful because you're seeing the full-blown, death of the popularity of it as people keep saying the MCU is losing steam.
I think it'll come back around. Once we start getting the X-Men type stuff, I think actually Deadpool is going to be the thing that turns it around.
Yep. Because Wolverine is in his proper gear.
That's going to be cool to see him in that mask. Yeah. And a bunch of those characters dying too. Yeah, they're going to be killing.
Well, that's always cool.
They're going to be killing off X-Men left and right, and people are going to be like, whoa, shit. What happened to Rogue and stuff? This one's so stupid. Aztec versus Moon Knight. This one is one for the history books.
Okay, okay, I think it's time we wrap this.
Aztec is a character not many people know. I honestly don't know too much about Aztec, but I always thought that his quick little thing that he did in the Justice League show was fun and interesting enough, and he's got a cool design. Moon Knight's pretty cool. More people know Moon Knight by far, and Moon Knight is more powerful, and Moon Knight is cooler, and I like Moon Knight better, so Moon Knight wins.
Fair enough.
How many podcasts are out there, though, sitting there mentioning Aztec? I don't think many.
I don't think there's too many.
Fanboys Anonymous, everybody. Share your support. Blueprint Project. I care about Aztec. And you should too. I don't know. These people can't be your Superman, but they are close enough to it. It's Icon against Blue Marvel. Two of the Black Superman pastiche type characters that, again, you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, I have no idea who these characters are.
Yeah, but you know what? I like this. I like the idea of I can't be your Superman because it's clearly what they're going for. And yeah, I'm a big fan.
Blue Marvel gets to win here. He is not only the cooler character, but he also strikes me as the more powerful of the two. And I'm actually hoping that they put Blue Marvel in the MCU soon. Icon, I could deal with not seeing Icon. He's just another Superman. Blue Marvel's at least got some other tweaks to him.
Fair enough.
This one is one of the most obvious ones. This was one of the first matches that I booked. Swamp Thing versus Man Thing. And it is a Swamping Ground singles match.
Well, here's the thing.
Actually, no, the thing is not in this.
The thing is not in this.
I probably should have put the thing in there as like he makes an appearance.
The other thing. I'm gonna go with Man Thing.
I'm gonna go with Swamp Thing.
Is it because it's a swamping ground?
Swamp Thing strikes me as a more powerful character overall. I might not know too much about Man Thing that could make the argument an opposite of that. And maybe there's people in the comments that would be like, no, see, Man Thing's got this other like story or whatever. Swamp Thing, though, the more that I look into him, the more that they've made him like a god. Like he's like the controller of the green, and he's got the whole like connectivity to all plant life. Like he's basically worshipped by poison ivy and all. Man Thing's a freakish monster and powerful in his own right, but I also used to like the Swamp Thing cartoon, so it gives me a little bit of a bias. Swamp Thing, da da da. You know.
Look, I like Swamp Thing, and I kind of see where you're coming from. I just thought maybe you'd swerve and Man Thing would win, but no, I'm with Swamp Thing picking up a win.
All right, so take your pick. Do we go fun, gimmicky, this is so stupid, or do we go more of the one of the serious ones? Got a preference?
I do not. Sorry, I think you cut out there a little bit.
Oh, serious one or a gimmicky, funny, stupid name?
Serious one.
Green Arrow's team against Hawkeye's team. So we've got Green Arrow, Black Canary, Arsenal, Speedy, Arrowette. And on Hawkeye, we got Black Widow, we got Bucky, Mockingbird, Kate Bishop. And this is the Slings and Arrows intergender mixed tag team match.
Yeah. You know, I really appreciate the Slings and Arrows name. I'm going to give it to DC. Green Arrow, Black Canary. I'm more familiar with these characters overall, and I just think they're probably better with the bow.
I am also giving that win to what I'm calling the team of the Quiver.
I like it.
Now they are accompanied by Connor Hawk and Emiko Queen. Maybe you throw Merlin on the side. Maybe you throw a Trick Shot on the opposite side. Kate Bishop's got Lucky the Pizza Dog.
Yeah.
It's a good way to kind of, I mean, like Green Arrow versus Hawkeye was going to happen. It was just a matter of, do I want to put them in the men's Survivor Series match, or do I want to do something else? And I was like, yeah, I'll do something else. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, Green Arrow and Black Canary, Hawkeye and Black Widow. And then, you know, am I going to do anything other than Arsenal, Speedy, Kate Bishop and all that? Nah, they're ringside. So 10-person mixed tag team match, lumberjack match, whatever constitution you want to put them in there, it does boil down to Green Arrow beats Hawkeye. I like Hawkeye, but Green Arrow's got cooler trick arrows. And Black Canary, she's got her sonic scream. So she beats out Black Widow a little bit there. Tough match, though.
Let's go to another serious one.
This one is The Flash against Quicksilver in a race against time beat the clock challenge race.
So are they not fighting each other? They're fighting other people?
No, they're just racing. And the Flash wipes the floor with Quicksilver. This is the other complete squash match. Quicksilver is quick. Flash is a fucking god.
Yeah, I get it. Because Quicksilver, he's great, Love X-Men, love all that stuff. But the Flash is like one of the top superheroes ever.
And also just like powerful too at a level that is incomparable. Like Quicksilver is like Mach, whatever. I don't know, Mach 5 or something. The Flash warps space-time, you know?
Which Flash?
I'd go Barry.
That's the right one. You prefer Wally, though.
I do like Wally better. That's where, like, I wish that Barry, Jay, Bart, and Wally were all just one character. And the history of all four of them could just be one person. Just like a funny guy who has, like, the personality of Wally and the job of Barry, and probably the backstory of Barry more than anything else, and maybe call him Bart to get Bart in there. Maybe it's like Bartholomew Allen Garrick is his name or something. I don't know. That's something that I have to work on a little bit more on my Flash blueprint, but it is something that I've been working on. That was another one that was very quick. Like, I thought about putting Flash on the team, decided to go Flash Quicksilver, and then I was like, all right, then Flash wins that. And if you got to beat the clock challenge, go with beat the clock challenge. Why not?
Okay, so I snuck a peek at one of the names here, so I'm just gonna ask, what are you doing with the Joker?
This is an Asylum tag team elimination match. The Joker and the Royal Flush Gang. So that's, for anybody who doesn't know anything about the Royal Flush Gang, that's like Ace, King, Queen, Jack 10, and Wild Card against the Gob Squad.
Stop.
Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Jack-O-Lantern, Demo Goblin, Proto Goblin, Menace, Grey Goblin, any of those Goblin-esque characters, including Jack-O-Lantern, because he's basically a Goblin. I don't know why Jack-O-Lantern exists. But Joker's got the Royal Flush Gang. Green Goblin's got the Goblins here. And it might sound sacrilegious, but I'm going to go the Gob Squad.
Well, Mark Hamill wins.
Oh, that's true. I mean, Hobgoblin. See, Joker's my favorite villain that's ever existed in any kind of media. But I can't just go with the character that I like better. If Green Goblin is going up against Joker, Green Goblin doesn't care. He will bomb the shit out of Joker, you know?
Yeah, but it also feels like Joker wins as long as Chaos wins, and he would intentionally sabotage his team.
Yeah, he'd be fine dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I like it.
This was a late addition to the card, actually.
Were you just not going to do anything with the Joker? Like, I
was just like, I couldn't think of anything. And then one day I was just kind of like, oh, fuck, I don't have anything for Green Goblin. Because originally, when I first started this, I only wrote the heroes down. And then eventually, when I got into like Magneto, I was like, well, he's been a hero, he's been a villain. Okay, well, whatever. Like, I guess I should do the Dr. Polaris thing. Maybe I should open it up to villains. And then that's when I started to write down like Thanos, Darkseid, and all them. And I wrote down Joker, I wrote down Green Goblin, and all these other characters, and I just kind of kept them off to the side. And then eventually I was just like, do I do Joker and Riddler and Two-Face and whatever, and like a Batman Rogues Gallery thing against Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery or Daredevil characters or whatever. But the green and the purple, the two crazy dudes.
Yeah, I like it. I like that matchup. I like the reasoning for Green Goblin winning. I like that Joker got a spot on the card, apparently. I wouldn't have thought you wouldn't have put it on there, but, you know, it is what it is.
I would have been disappointed if I didn't. This one's a funny one. This is Plastic Man and the Elongated Man. Now,
I read the stipulation.
For anybody who doesn't know, the Elongated Man and Plastic Man. Plastic Man's name is Eel O'Brien. So when you've got Eel O'Brien and the Elongated Man, they're the Eel O'Ungated Man.
Stop
team.
it.
It's as close as you can possibly get to that. I don't know why there's a Plastic Man and Elongated Man both in DC. There's no need for them. They should just have Plastic Man. And they're up against Flat Man and Mr. Fantastic. the Flatastic Foundation instead of the Future Foundation, and obviously Fantastic Four. And this is a tag team.
He looks like a flat Reed Richards.
Yeah. I don't like Flat Man.
Is he a flat Reed Richards? He looks like that's all he's supposed to be.
He basically is. And he's like the West Coast Avengers or the Great Lakes Avengers or something. He's a character that's like a nobody, but he's another stretchy guy. And he wears a blue outfit and looks very similar. So it's like they would clearly be a tag team.
I just want to be clear. You didn't put the Fantastic Four together so you could put
yes,
Flat Man on that card.
So I could do a stretcher match with the 4 stretchy guys.
Dumb.
That was the main reason why I didn't do the Fantastic Four together. The second main reason why was because I wanted Invisible Woman in the women's elimination thing. But technically speaking, I could have taken her out and I could have put in like Shuri or something. But then when I thought of the stretcher thing, I was like, this is too fucking good. I got to do this. And I did pick a winner, but my original winner for this was going to be that there is no winner and that they all get tangled up. But then
no, that's the ending.
But then I was like, there's too many draws, and I was like, if anybody's going to think of something, it would be Mr. Fantastic would win for his team.
I like that they just get stuck together.
Everybody gets all tangled up.
This should be I guess it is a tornado match. Then say you call it a tornado match, but it's a twister match. It's the game
that's what the special guest referee just does. They just go like red hand on red.
Right hand red.
Right hand on red. And then Mr. Fantastic figures it out and Flatman's like, oh, I'm lame. I don't know what to do. Let's go for some big powerhouses here. This is a group of people that are all insanely powerful. This is a multiversal mayhem match. Imperiex, the Monitors, that includes like the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor, the Omega Titans, Kindred, those godlike characters over on DC, against Galactus, Abraxas, the Beyonders, the Celestials, all those similar big mechy cosmic beings that engulf planets and all.
Oh, I get Galactus team get the win?
Definitely do. Partially because their managers are the cosmic entities, Eternity, Oblivion, Death, and Infinity. And also partially because Galactus is the coolest out of everybody that's mentioned here.
Yeah, that's exactly why I immediately picked him.
I like the name the Multiversal Mayhem match. Just one of those like less gimmicky, but still kind of hokey.
This feels like it could have been a Universal Championship match or a Universal Tag Team Championship match.
I like that. The Multiversal Championship match. There you go. Let's get into some of those championship matches though, and come back around a little bit because I do have one more that's not a championship match, and then the Survivor Series match. But let's get into the mid-card match. Now this one's a little complicated, because I did have 2 other matches, and then I eventually decided to go with one of these as a mid-card match for the champion, mid-card champion versus champion thing, which then switched up my plans a little bit. So I mentioned before, like I was thinking about doing like Lobo versus Wolverine or Batman versus Wolverine, and maybe that would be a mid-card thing, or maybe I thought of a lot of consideration of Shazam versus Thor being the mid-card title match. And then I was like, they're too powerful. I don't know. So we're going to actually do 3 matches here because 2 of them happened prior to the show. So one match that happened prior, it's an exhibition. Cyborg beats Deathlock.
So why wasn't this in your dark match inclusion?
Basically, to explain it better in this section.
Okay, that's fair.
So there are very similar characters, but Cyborg is more powerful. Cyborg is cooler. Deathlock is a character that they could tap into more and have some fun with, but it's never happened yet. And everybody, I think, would just look at it at this point and go, "Oh, that's Cyborg ripoff," you know?
Yeah. So Cyborg wins.
Cyborg wins that match leading up to the pay-per-view. There's also Red Lion against Black Panther, which obviously Black Panther wins.
These aren't dark matches. These are like matches that are televised
prior to
pre-pay-per-view.
it's like
these are on Raw. Got it.
yeah, like the build up to it. So Red Lion is totally a Black Panther ripoff. Obviously.
What do you mean? It's a Red Lion. That's not Black Panther.
And I thought about just doing these matches as like, there's 2 other matches. And then I was like, maybe I'll even team them up and it'll be like whatever or something. And then I was like, is anybody really going to care if it's Black Panther versus Red Lion? Nah. So it's just like, hey, those 2 characters are very similar. But then that leads to the mid-card champion against the mid-card champion, Cyborg against Black Panther. And they've got Red Lion and Deathlock ringside, like in their corners.
Okay. That's ridiculous that you put that much time and effort into it. And I like the match. It's a good representation on this card. And I, maybe sacrilegious, I just like Cyborg more. So, Cyborg.
I'm going to go Black Panther.
I mean, yeah, I figured that. I just, I thought I'd give him love.
Cyborg is a character that I have grown to appreciate a lot more over the years. And I think that there's more that hasn't even been tapped into yet with Cyborg. But I also just think that Black Panther is ultimately cooler. And I don't know if Cyborg can do as much to the Vibranium.
That's fair.
Black Panther's really smart. He can figure out a way to hack into Cyborg. Cyborg can just kind of blast him. I mean, Cyborg can try to hack into Black Panther, but Black Panther doesn't really have, like, tech in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Cyborg is a little cooler, but I totally understand going with Black Panther.
And I also liked the idea of, like, in particular, Black Panther being the mid-card champion. I think he's a good spot for that. He's not the top of Marvel, but that dude's going up there. Let's go with a non-title match. The last of the non-title matches outside of the elimination match. We have 3 more matches left on this card.
This is interesting.
This is the Bat Family against the Heroes for Hire. So it's primarily Nightwing and Batgirl against Daredevil and Elektra.
So I don't like the Bat Family, but they have to win here.
You don't like the Bat Family?
I don't like the as a concept. No.
Oh, you mean for this card?
No, I just mean like in general. Like I think there's been too much reliance on the Bat Family in recent years. It takes away from like part of Batman's whole deal being that he doesn't let people in.
Yeah.
I think there's been too much of letting people in because arguably Clayface can be here somewhere.
Yeah, I hate the overexpansion, for sure.
Like you don't have Kate Kane on here, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I mean like there's a lot of you kept it very good because it's Dick, Jason, Damian. I forget. Oh my god, I just drew a blank on his name.
Tim,
thank you, and Barbara.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad.
I do have ringside though. Alfred, Jim Gordon are like managers, but then you got like Huntress, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, Batwoman, Katana, Azrael, Harper Row, Carrie Kelly, Batwing, Lark. Like you could have all them ringside like watching, and then the same for the Heroes for Hire. I mean, like they've got Jaron Hogarth, Foggy Nelson, and Karen Page as like managers, but you've got Ronan, Iron Fist, Power Man, and Hellcat involved in this and stuff. You got Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, White Tiger, Echo. If you wanted to have more people ringside, you could have Shroud, Gargoyle, Tarantula, Blind Spot, Darkhawk. A bunch of these characters that like, who the fuck knows who these characters are? I also thought it'd be kind of fun to put Talia al Ghul and Silver Sable on opposite sides for this. And the more that it got like out of hand, the more that I was like, well, do I really want to do Huntress versus Hellcat? Do I really want to do Batwoman versus White Tiger? Or Cassandra and Stephanie against Colleen and Misty? Or do I just want to do basically Nightwing and Batgirl versus Daredevil and Elektra?
Well, why don't you change it? Instead of a mixed tag team match, I'm going to gonna take the women out of it too. Why don't you make it Dick versus Murdoch? Dick Murdoch. And it's a lumberjack match. And they get to pick the lumberjacks, they pick the Bat Family, and the Heroes for Hire.
It could work that way too, kind of like the Shazam and Thor thing.
I like that
whichever
better.
combination it is. My preference shows I'm going Nightwing.
Yeah,
I think that like generally speaking, Nightwing versus Daredevil was one of those matches that I was like, I would actually really like if you could like, you know, if these characters were real and all, I would really like to see Nightwing versus Daredevil.
Yeah, and it seems like the combat would be perfectly matched.
Because if you put Daredevil versus Batman, everybody knows Batman's winning. You put Daredevil against Nightwing,
I think Murdoch can pull it off.
He could.
But I'm going with Dick here because he's Dick.
He is. I don't know. I haven't done like a ranking yet of like my absolute true favorite characters in comics. But Dick Grayson is definitely in the top 10. He might be my number 4. Now that I'm thinking about it offhand. Like superhero wise. It might be like Batman, Spider-Man, then maybe Wolverine, and then maybe Dick. Yeah. If you want to take it out of context, I really love Dick.
We all. Don't we all?
So what would you think is the main event more so between the men's champion, world champion versus world champion, or the men's Survivor Series elimination match? What do you want to end on?
It feels like it should be a Survivor Series match, but I also know for a fact that Superman's your champion, and the night it's like Hogan must pose. So what is it? Superman versus Hulk?
Oh, let's go with that one then. It's Superman versus Sentry.
Oh, is it not Hulk? Really?
Yep.
I guess that would be too on the nose from what you did for the women. Yeah, Superman whoops his ass.
I almost went with Superman versus Thor. Superman versus Hulk, of course, was definitely an option. Superman versus Hyperion, Superman versus Gladiator. But Sentry's there to be another Superman. Oh, and by the way, Superman's accompanied by Lois and Jimmy. Because, of course. And Sentry's really powerful, but Superman, man. There's no way Superman was not going to be my men's world champion. And there's no way Superman was going to lose against anybody. Like, if it would have been Superman versus Thor, Superman wins. Superman versus Hulk, Superman wins. He's Superman. He's the superhero.
Yeah, he has to win. I would even argue, like, you should put him up against almost like a Spider-Man or a Hulk, just to give it more of like a Marvel's got a chance. Marvel, because Sentry's cool, but nobody thinks he's going to beat Superman.
And he's not.
Hogan must pose.
He isn't.
To me, that's how the show would end. Well, I guess the show would end with them shaking hands at some point, but yeah. Well,
there is going to be a prize awarded to the winning group. So that'll be the end of the show. So it's not quite Superman posing in that sense. It's got to be, okay, the general managers get together and they calculate who won and all that stuff. So we got to end this off with the Survivor Series men's elimination match. Now, this is 10 on 10 instead of 5 on 5 because I did that for these because I wanted to incorporate more people. This is obviously a clusterfuck when it comes to the graphics and everything. But we've got on DC, the Super Friends. Aw. And their managers are Mr. Terrific and Wildcat. They are led by team captain Batman. If I'm not going to go Batman as the world champion, mid-card's too low. He had to be team captain, you know?
All right, so visually, just taking the picture. I gotta go Marvel here. Even though Batman's my favorite superhero and you have like Green Lantern, Hawkeye, and all that, but like I have to go Marvel here just looking at this picture.
So anybody on the audio only version, here's the full breakdown. Team Captain Batman on the Super Friends in DC. He is accompanied by Guardian, Jim Harper. The John Stewart Green Lantern. So, military guy, super powerful, has one of the most powerful, his ring is, of course, like nuts. Damage, who is basically the Hulk. Captain Atom, Hawkman, Firestorm, who is accompanied by Martin Stein, Metamorpho, the Martian Manhunter, and Steel, accompanied by Natasha Irons. I don't think many people, if they would have guessed my lineup, would have guessed this lineup. I think maybe people would have gotten like Batman, a Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter being in. I don't know if, I know for sure nobody would have ever guessed Damage, Steel, Firestorm, and Guardian being on here. Probably not Metamorpho, maybe not Captain Atom, but maybe. Hawkman, I don't know. Hawkman's whatever, but nobody would guess like Damage would be here.
Yeah, I mean, if you just asked me to guess, I would have named all the heavy hitters, and I think that's why I like the Marvel side better. There's so many heavy hitters on this side.
And this is also why there's going to be another follow-up here of the War Games, where it's going to get into more of like, all right, if we don't do match against match, then what do we do with the heavy hitters? That kind of thing. So that's where we get into the whole, like, a team with, like, Batman and the Flash and whatever, you know? I originally had, instead of Guardian, Deathstroke as the co-captain. And then when I decided to do Deathstroke versus Taskmaster, that took him out of here. Also, I had Magog on this team. And then I was like, I don't know about that.
Magog sounds like such a, like the most fake name ever.
He is absurdly powerful.
Wouldn't you be if you were Magog?
Yeah, Magog. The Marvel team, the Ultimates, or the Ultimate Avengers, either one, they don't have any managers listed down. I couldn't really think of who would make sense other than like Nick Fury or, you know, any of that kind of thing, like S.H.I.E.L.D. But that is a team with two captains, because they are co-captains of Iron Man and Captain America. Iron Man, of course, accompanied by Pepper Potts and Happy Hogan. And Captain America gets an entrance with his full Liberty Legion, Sharon Carter, Captain Carter, American Dream, Miss America, the Invaders, Wizard, Patriot, the Howling Commandos. Figure like Captain America coming out with like the NWO of like all this like super gung-ho American types. And this is Steve Rogers, Captain America, by the way, for anybody who's wondering. It's like, you know, I shouldn't even have to say that. It's not like Isaiah Bradley or something. But he would be there. You know, he's one of the other people just supporting Cap. Cap is basically the leader of this. Iron Man's the co-captain, but it's more so Captain America, let's be honest. But I wanted to balance out Batman and Iron Man. And that's actually one of the reasons why I put Guardian on here, is to kind of balance out Captain America a little bit. Two dudes that are like around the same power level with a shield, look very similar. Of course, Captain America's way fucking better. Also on the team, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. He's got Mary Jane with him, and, you know, Aunt May.
Why you bring Aunt May to this?
She's there to support her surrogate son. You know, her nephew's important. She's yay, Peter. We got Hulk, because clearly Hulk was going to be on this team. If he wasn't going to go up against Superman, Hulk was going to be on this team. He's got Betty with him. He's got General Ross booing in the crowd.
Funny.
Silver Surfer is here. He is one of the most like well-known Marvel characters that's obviously incredibly powerful. To offset Hawkman, I got the Falcon. I've got to offset Firestorm, Human Torch.
Yeah.
To offset Metamorpho is the Thing. So that's like a tag team, you know?
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing in the top right. So Fire Guy, the guy who is like can turn into like Rocky type stuff against the Rocky guy. Kind of to offset Martian Manhunter a little bit is Adam Warlock. Very, very, very powerful character who is accompanied by her, which sounds stupid, but that's her name. And the Thing's got Alicia Masters with him, and Human Torch has Frankie with him. And to offset Steel is Colossus.
Yeah, even as you read these names out, Marvel does win, right?
I actually wrote down what happens in this. Like not move by move, but like elimination by elimination.
If you wrote down move by move, I have a problem.
Yeah. The first thing that happens is Guardian gets taken out by Captain America. Realistically, Guardian is the weakest on that team, and we need to set a precedent here. Cap is the leader of Team Marvel. So you know what happens after he takes out Guardian in like a relatively short amount of time frame? Cap gets like the, pat on the back from his team and whatever, and he looks over at Team DC and he says, I could do this all day.
That's funny.
But then DC goes, oh, you want to play games? Falcon gets taken out by Hawkman. Falcon ain't putting up a fight against Hawkman. Hawkman's more powerful. He's got that mace. Fuck Falcon.
Yeah.
And that's, okay, you want to act a little cocky, Cap? There goes your tag team member. So now we're telling a story here. This is why I wanted to keep this one pretty much for last. Well, Captain America just gets a little bit humbled there. So team captain, co-captain, Iron Man steps it up and he eliminates Steel. Mech guy, and Iron Man has his nanotech suit and he's like, all right, I'm going to take your mech guy out. Fuck you then.
It's weird because I'm picturing just fights, but I'm also like still picturing pinfalls.
Right, yeah. It's weird because it's like, obviously if you have like Hulk going up against Batman, like Hulk should one punch Batman, but you have to kind of like kind of treat it as like Injustice rules where they all got like that shot of adrenaline kind of thing.
So far so good.
Human Torch is next to get eliminated by Firestorm after the Human Torch tries to take out Martian Manhunter and Firestorm changes Johnny's flames. Because Firestorm is a different type of character than Human Torch. Human Torch can get really hot. Firestorm can change elements. So what happens if the Human Torch stops being hot? Firestorm's like, yeah, you're cold now.
When you're hot, you're hot.
So Human Torch is taken out. Things are heating up in a different way. And Silver Surfer says, oh, you want to play the games? You're fucking gone. And takes out Firestorm.
Fair enough.
We're going back and forth a little bit. And this is when, at that point, Firestorm getting taken out infuriates a person on Team DC that is super strong called Damage. And Damage is able to go one-on-one with the Thing, beat him down. Thing's trying to, avenge Johnny Storm. And the Thing loses because Damage is really powerful. And then Colossus steps up and is like, okay, well then I'll take on Damage. And Damage takes him out. So now it's like, okay, DC they got the advantage. They are kicking some ass. Damage is standing tall as this like hulking brute monster that just took two people out. What would you assume Hulk's response to that is?
What would I assume his response to seeing
the knockoff Hulk eliminate two people on his team?
He just launches him to the fucking sun.
He goes absolutely crazy. And Hulk says, Hulk strongest there is, and beats the shit out of Damage. And then swats down Hawkman and eliminates him. And then he takes out Metamorpho. And then everybody starts realizing, oh shit, this is getting out of hand. So the Hulk is then taken out by a combination of everybody on both sides. Because he's way too enraged. And he's finally, quote unquote, pinned by Green Lantern.
Nice.
That's when everybody goes, all right, we got to relax. Hulk almost killed everybody in the arena. And then they put him down.
That's very funny.
And now, because that's like the midway through the match type of moment. So we're kind of have like a reset, sort of like in Royal Rumbles, when it's like around like number 15, a lot of people get eliminated, you know. Captain Atom gets eliminated by Silver Surfer. Marvel has a slight lead. DC ends up not being able to counterbalance that because Martian Manhunter gets eliminated by Adam Warlock. Marvel still coming out there with the win. More so right now. Batman's looking around going, shit, I've got just Green Lantern and myself. Green Lantern and Batman. Over on Marvel's side, you've got the Silver Surfer, Iron Man, Captain America, and Spider-Man. It's 4-on-2. You can't let everything go down like that. And Green Lantern and Adam Warlock go at it. Adam Warlock gets taken out. Green Lantern and Silver Surfer go at it. That's a pretty good matchup. Two cosmic policemen in one way or another. And they eliminate each other. Double count out.
Wow.
So it's left with Iron Man and Captain America against Batman.
That's not what I would have went with. I would have put, I mean, I'm biased, but I would have put Spider-Man. I would have had him as one of the champions for Marvel. But I understand. And since it's them against Batman, I'm guessing Batman pulls it out.
Well, Iron Man gets taken out by Batman. And we're sitting there, Captain America and Batman facing off. And Captain America, as great as Captain America is, gets taken out by Batman. And then you realize Spider-Man never got eliminated.
Okay, that's... okay.
And Spider-Man comes along and Batman gets eliminated. Spider-Man is the sole survivor.
All right. Okay. All right. We're simpatico there. Like,
as much as it was like, oh, I want to give the win to Batman. I was like, look, I got to give the win to this Marvel team. And Batman gets that sort of, I mean, the dude beat Iron Man and Captain America on his own. He beat the two team leaders. It's just the plucky action. Like, realistically, who is the mascot of Marvel? It's Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm good with Spider-Man getting this. He definitely deserved. Because if not this, I would have put him against Superman. I think that highly of Spider-Man. There's also precedent for that.
So if my total is correct, the full breakdown of who gets however many, you know, like a win for Marvel, a win for DC, would be 36 wins for DC and 43 for Marvel.
Really, Marvel pulled that out? It felt like you were always saying DC wins.
Seems like it, but more just by a few from Marvel. I wanted to try to make it almost by one.
Yeah,
but then I was like,
but I did lose count.
Yeah, it's hard to not lose count when you've got 70 something matches and stuff. Like, yeah, and obviously like Superboy versus Wonder Man. If I wanted to like give Wonder Man the win, I would have. But you know, like you can play around with some of these things. But I have that at the end of this, even though it is a Marvel versus DC thing. Obviously, there's like a sort of like we'll get you next time. DC might win the next one and all. Access brings the two brothers together. All the gods are ringside and all. And the trophy is awarded And guess what the prize is for Marvel?
Everyone in the community gets 1 year subscription to the Daily Bugle.
No, it is not quite that. It is something that is it's well known in the community, but it's also something that not everybody gets a chance to get this. This is something that is a Stan Lee original. This is a no prize.
Tony, we've been sitting here for like...
This is like a 5-hour recording.
We've been sitting here for like 5 hours. And the punchline is it's a no prize?
Yes.
Happy holidays, everybody. Oh, that's delicious. That's so on brand for you. Oh God.
There wasn't any way I could do anything other than a no prize. Come on.
That's so stupid. What was this for? Like,
this was for shits and giggles.
No, like what was the original no prize for?
Oh, the no prize?
Yeah,
you don't know the backstory of the no prize?
Mailing list or something? Like what the fuck?
Stan Lee just thought it would be funny to tell people that he was sending them a gift and it was a no prize, and he would be like, "Congrats, you win a no prize."
Okay.
So that's also one of the reasons why I went with Marvel winning, is because Marvel could win a no prize from Stan Lee.
That's hilarious.
So the watchers are happy. All the people are happy. The fans get sent home with the idea that they might want more in the future.
That's so funny. All of that for the fucking punchline of a no prize.
Yes.
I love that. It's so you. It is so you.
I was waiting to get around to that so much.
It's so funny to me because it's like, yeah, what else would Tony do this for? Of course it's for a no prize.
Yeah. So that's the way that I would do DC versus Marvel in like an ultimate kind of perspective for Survivor Series. But as I mentioned before, there is another variation of this, and that's going to be on the Patreon or the members only side of things. You have to subscribe to the Darkcast tier on Smark Out Moment or the bonus features tier on Fanboys to get access to the next one. We haven't recorded it yet. I'm going to try to record that with Rob. Maybe, I don't know, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, depending on when he's free. Actually, it doesn't matter to you because this is the 21st and you're not going to hear this until whenever it's up anyway. So why am I even bothering to say that? That one is going to be, what if I tweaked this and did it differently and did War Games matches? And instead of just doing the women's War Games match and the men's War Games match, I actually did 3 War Games matches for each. Like I'll explain another thing. But it's kind of like breaking them down in like themed things. Not as crazy as this. It is a little bit more straightforward. And if you've been enjoying this, obviously let me know. Drop a comment, hit a like, pass this along, click the share button, double check that you are subscribed to both Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anonymous. This is a crossover thing. If you dig superheroes and you dig the pro wrestling stuff, follow both. That's the whole point. But also, if you are digging it and you want me to do more, the Pick Your Poison tier is a great way to do that. And make sure that you request like, hey, what if you did a Royal Rumble? What would you do? And you'd have the DC and Marvel people all against each other. And it was like, you could even have the DC people against each other. Or if you did like a Civil War with DC and you had like Batman and Superman on opposite sides, who would be on each team? Or we could explore this in a lot of different ways. And I would love to get Rob at some point to do a version of this that he would have in mind. Because I'd love to hear your ideas. I know you told some of them along the way, but like...
I did tell some of them along the way.
I think that if you started to map out a card, though, you would end up changing some of those too, like I did.
Well, if I started mapping out a card, I'd be like, you see over here on on a sunny day in Queens in Marvel World, they cut this promo that led to this match because that's the way I fantasy book. You see, I book stories based on
You have backstage segments and stuff, yeah.
Because I think that just makes more sense. We want to know why we're fighting. But I like this a lot. Here we were fighting for brand supremacy and the all-powerful No Prize. And I would have changed some things, like Sentry wouldn't have been up against Superman. I pretty much said that. But, like, there would have been a lot of that, maybe Justice League, maybe X-Men. Yeah, there's a lot we can do here with the crossover of the worlds.
The worlds collide.
But if you want to follow me, I do mostly wrestling stuff. Check out Dude Felice everywhere, and you'll find my work.
Make sure, of course, you are following all the stuff over at fanboysanonymous.com. Make sure you are following all the stuff over at smarkoutmoment.com. Click on, obviously, the Redbubble and TeePublic for both, and a Mango Tees. And you are following, the YouTube channels and the websites and, the social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter and all. If you want to get a link to everything like that, you can find that on amangotree.com. Both the Smark Out Moment and Fanboys Anonymous links are there, and the Letterboxd and the Patreon accounts. My personal stuff, my LinkedIn even, it's on there. My Facebook, my Twitter at Tony Mango. If you enjoy this type of stuff and you are kind of newer to the pro wrestling stuff, we do mock drafts over on Smark Out Moment. We do things like the Fantasy League over there. So definitely tune in, check out that kind of stuff for things like the hot tags and all that we do every single week. Also, if you are just more so into the superhero stuff, the Blueprint Project, I can't stress that enough. Even if it's a James Bond thing or Ninja Turtles or something, it's not DC and Marvel. A lot of work's been going into a lot of these things just because I got all that stuff stuck in my brain. So I got to get it out there at some point. But that's part 2 done. Part 3 is coming up with the Darkcast tier and the bonus features tier. So stay tuned for that on whichever one you want to go to. It's going to be the same exact thing uploaded on both. So it's not like it's like if you got one, you need to subscribe to the other one or something. I'm not going to do that kind of a game. DC vs. Marvel, though, definitely one of the more favorite things that I did this year. A project that it was just a lot of fun to work on this. And I definitely want to do more things like this.
Oh, yeah. And it was so nice to see you pour your heart and soul into this and just sort of be the audience member. I really enjoyed that.
And I really enjoyed having you as a part of it, as I always do with all the different podcasts that we do. Rob is my perennial Guy Friday.
I really do appreciate that, and I'm glad to be your Friday, and it's only Tuesday.
It is come Tuesday for those who know about NXT. That's not just a what did he just say type thing. It's a different story. But yeah, that's going to do us in for this. Thank you for checking out part 1 and part 2. If you only checked out part 2, then why didn't you check out part 1 first? I don't know. That's how math works. And go back and check that out if you didn't. And definitely stay tuned for that 3rd part and whatever else is coming your way from Fanboys Anonymous and Smark Out Moment that's next. I don't know, especially because we are recording this in advance, but it'll be popping up here. So make sure you're subscribed to both channels, and we'll see you when we see you in the next thing. So that's going to do us in for this. Thank you again. It's time for us to geek out.